The Big 12 is the best conference in college football. And at this point, if you're trying to argue it, you just sound silly. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from ESPN Central Texas. Thank you for making Locked On Big 12 your first listen every single day. And it's just you and me today. No guest. It's just you and I to bask in the glory that is Big 12 football. Because look, somebody heard the intro and they thought, the Big 12's not the best. Oh, there's the ACC. Oh, there's the Big 10. But today, you and I get to bask in the fact that the Big 12 is dominating bowl season. And guess what? Just wherever you are, whoever you're a fan of, if it's Arizona, if it's Texas Tech, if it's TCU, if it's Baylor, if it's BYU, just sit back, close your eyes unless you're driving, and think for 1 second how cool it is to be good. Because the Big 12 has bragging rights over pretty much every other conference in college athletics right now. The Big 12 has 4 wins in bowl play. I guess the Sun Belt has 5. But think about how good it is to be good and how all season long the disrespect that we've had to put up with, the disrespect that has come from national media, how the Big 12 has been placed as second rate. I thought John Kurtz put it so well on Twitter. How many of these Big 12 coaches get rumored to move up to the SEC or the Big 10 every offseason? This Big 10 team's going to hire Matt Campbell. This SEC team's looking at Lance Leipold. And guess what? They don't go. How many of those guys have actually gone in the last few years? The Big 12 is not just holding water. The Big 12 is not just staying afloat. But now we are proving, my brother in Christ, we are proving that parity in this conference, the fact that everybody can beat everybody, the fact that there is no dead weight in this league, there is no Vanderbilt, there is no Rutgers or Northwestern or Illinois, or there are a myriad of teams that you could use over the last 10 years, the Big 10. There are none of those consistently bad brands in the Big 12, and that's starting the show by the fact the Big 12 is beating everybody else. Sans Georgia Tech and UCF. We're not going to talk about that one. We'll just not own that for now. Everybody else has put the Big 12 on a pedestal at this point, and the Big 12 is dominating bowl season. So when the rest of the conference has looked at this, and the rest of the country has looked at this conference and said, oh, not good enough. Other brands not good enough. Well, guess what? We make more money than the ACC. We make more money than the Pac-12, which is defunct. It's gone. It's done. We have competed with the SEC and now won a bowl game against their conference. And I know we're going to get into it later in the show about how A&M fans are going to say, that wasn't it. It wasn't fair. We weren't even trying. All right, sweet, fine. Great excuses. And guess what? We are proving to the country that this league truly is, the Big 12 truly is. And this is where this is where I love. Can I pull the curtain back a second? I was tabbed to host Locked On Big 12, 4 months ago, okay? And one of the reasons that I love the Big 12 is because it's the blue-collar conference. This is the league that doesn't have a team that's trying to fold after the year is over. This is the league that doesn't have a single team that's saying, you know what, we're not going to participate in our bowl game. We're not going to try. We don't feel like that's necessary for us. We're going to set most of our guys. Some of our guys are declaring for the draft, and they're going to be left out. This isn't the league. Listen to this very carefully. This is what you bring to your water cooler tomorrow to the A&M fan. This is what you bring to the water cooler tomorrow to the Texas fan who's dogging on the Big 12 still. This is what you bring to the Alabama fan, to the Georgia fan, especially the Florida State fan, especially tomorrow at the water cooler. This is the conference that does not opt out. This is the league that does things the right way. From Kansas to West Virginia to Oklahoma State, this is the league that puts on the best show, and not for show, but for glory. And it may sound corny. It may sound like, for glory. Blah. But legitimately, do you see that there are so many other programs, so many other conferences that are making excuses this time of year for why they're losing, but the Big 12 is not making excuses for losing. They're just winning. That, to me, has more valor than anything else. And when they said, hey, would you host Locked On Big 12? The reason I love it, there's a host of Locked On SEC, there's a host of Locked On Big 10, and they do a great job. They do a great job But they don't get to come in every day and plug in this microphone to a computer and get on the Bluetooth in somebody's car and get in the headphones in somebody's car, get on the AirPods, get on the Beats and say, look at this league. There is so much to be proud of. I got in a reflective way tonight, watching last night, if you will, whenever you're listening, watching Oklahoma State beat Texas A&M and thought about when Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama. And you could go back and find a clip in my first month of Locked On Big 12 saying this conference is in a dangerous bad spot when the rest of the country is looking at us and pointing and laughing, losing to Miami of Ohio, losing to South Alabama, losing to Ohio. The rest of the country is pointing and laughing. The Big 12 is in a bad spot. And the reason that this conference is so great, the reason that it's so easy to show up and plug this microphone in, easier than it is for Locked On Big Ten, for Locked On SEC, is because I can show up and know that despite those losses and those teams that had those losses still showed up, still gave it all, still won games, and still down the stretch gave everything they had in a bowl game with the nation watching, so that it's not Oklahoma State who today you're hearing say, oh, yeah, we weren't playing a lot of our guys. We didn't really need that win. We were just resting a bunch of our guys. We're going through a coaching change, so we just didn't want to really throw all, we didn't put it all out there. We didn't get anybody hurt. It's not West Virginia saying, we lost by 14, but, it's 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. Who cares what we lose by? We just want to keep our guys healthy and go on to next season. It's not that. It's not Kansas saying, we lost to a group of 5 team, but they played a lot harder. We're just looking forward to next season. No. What makes this conference great, and it's something that I don't think, truly, if you're getting sentimental, I hope you are. I hope there's some pathos to this. There is a reason this conference is so easy to root for, because it's full of teams that try. It's full of teams that don't make excuses. When you get slapped silly by South Alabama, listen. When you get slapped silly by South Alabama, instead of making an excuse, you know what you do? You go win double-digit games. That's what Mike Gundy did. When you have a disappointing season where you lost to Wyoming to open your year, you go out and win your bowl game by 20 points. That's what Joey McGuire and Texas Tech did. And you know what happens after that? And this is a beautiful conversation we can get into. Your star running back, Taj Brooks, comes back. If you're Oklahoma State, your star running back, Ollie Gordon, comes back. If you're West Virginia, Jaheim White, Garrett Green comes back. These guys are if you are the Arkansas, one of the great, statistically, bear with me, the greatest quarterback in Arkansas Razorback history, the SEC West, the most dominant division in all of college football. You're their starting quarterback, KJ Jefferson, and you say, you know what? I want me some of that Big 12. We're recruiting at that high of a level. Our players are staying at that high of a level. Do you understand that you, the SEC, that you, the Big Ten, can scream, we make $55 million a year. Our teams are better. Our teams are winning national championships. But brother, when I cannot emphasize enough. I cannot emphasize enough the pride of the Big 12. And the problem with the SEC is that pride does not run deep. It just means more. Yeah, for 2 teams. For the Big Ten, it's just different in the Big Ten. Yeah, for 3 teams. Past that, everybody else is opting out. And in the Big 12, there is pride in product. No matter where the game is, no matter what time the game is. And I thought, you know what? To peel the curtain back even further, I thought about it early on. Should I do shows about bowl games for the Big 12? I thought, I should probably just. What if the Big 12 loses some bowl games and it doesn't? What if it looks ugly? It was ugly at the opening of the year. What if we just leave it? And now it's proven exactly what I hoped. That the Big 12 is just built different, man. They just do it different. They just have a different pride for this stuff. And that, to me, is special. I think the Big 12 set itself apart from the SEC and the Big Ten in that. I really do. In that this league is not afraid to contend no matter what. And they just beat the SEC. Oklahoma State over Texas A&M. Let's go there next. Here on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team, and it is every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I go to games, I go to concerts, I go to comedy clubs. And when I do, I go to Game Time to get my tickets. Look, I've had frustrating buying experiences with tickets. You go and you're like, oh, where's my ticket? It's 40 minutes before the game, and they still haven't sent me my ticket. You don't have that with Game Time. You go to the Game Time app, you browse through, you see your seat. You just, this is where I'm sitting. This is what it's going to look like. Oh, great. And you buy it and you get it. Job loss protection, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, views from all the seats in the venue. Game Time's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. They're obsessed with finding ways to keep you saving money. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That is Game Time. The Game Time app, create an account, terms apply. You can create an account. Code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. It's the lowest prices, and it is guaranteed. Oklahoma State just beat Texas A&M in the SEC. And guess what? You're an A&M fan. You click on the video. You're an SEC fan. You click on the video. You think, oh, we didn't try. We didn't have our guy. We had like 55 guys that they're scholarship players that wanted to. There's no excuse. Yeah, I just want you to understand. I want you to understand there's nothing you can say to justify what happened in this game when you got beat. When the final score says Oklahoma State 31, Texas A&M 23, there is nothing you can say past that to say, you know what? Here's the excuse for that loss. You lost the game. There's no, that wasn't our team. That wasn't, we had a lot of guys opt out. That's the stupidest thing. I want you to understand how stupid excuses for losses sound in college athletics, and especially how stupid they sound coming from SEC teams. Aren't you the big bad conference? Aren't you the team that could pony up enough money for your head coach to get $75+ million in a buyout? Aren't you one of the richest schools in America? Aren't you one of these prideful teams that left the Big 12? And now, we didn't have the horses in the stable in this game. Is that the excuse you want? Do you think that the SEC deserves we weren't trying, so that's why we lost? Is that what? Because, Alabama, I'm happy to admit, Alabama beat the brakes off Kansas State, last year. Alabama beats the brakes off Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. But this year, Texas A&M didn't beat the brakes off Oklahoma State. And so, we had a lot of guys opt out. Does that help you? Oh, we had a coaching change. Does that help you? Do you use that excuse? Like, we had to fire our coach. Oh, good, right? That means you're good. That means you're a good team. And you should, right? Like the change of culture. And then, your guys really want to play now because they have a new head coach. Oh, no, but the guys go, they won because they've been losing under the other head coach. Now they can do it. The new head coach says they should win, right? Oh, the guys are opted out because they're going to the NFL. No, there's a lot of ones in the transfer portal. But then if you go to the transfer portal, you got a bunch of 4-star guys, 5-star guys out here. They're way better than Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama. So I would assume the backups at Texas A&M are better than South Alabama, right? Oh, your quarterback got hurt. Well, he wasn't very good when he played. Wasn't elite when he played. And your backup quarterback, he's like a blue chip, right? If not a blue chip, maybe he's not a blue chip, but he's pretty good. He's at Texas A&M, right? Your prestigious university. He's a scholarship quarterback at Texas A&M. We only had a couple wide receivers. Oh, is that the excuse you want? Do you see where I'm going with this? That's the excuse the SEC is going to give you. That's the excuse Texas, and I can guarantee you, A&M fans are already in the comments on the podcast, on YouTube, wherever they can. They're already on Twitter, fired up about, we lost this game because we didn't try. Is that a good thing? We lost this game because we have an excuse. Our head coach got fired and the kids didn't want to play. Is that a good thing? Is that the culture you want at Texas A&M? If you're in the comments right now making an excuse for a loss for your team in a bowl game against a Big 12 team, the conference that you left, where, at the 8-point game doesn't really tell the full story, you got pretty much drubbed in this one, is that the persona you want to give off if you're the SEC? Because it's exactly what it sounds like. And if you're Oklahoma State, you're fired up because you did it the Big 12 way. You did it the blue collar way. And look, A&M can take home a bigger paycheck. That's fine. Who won the game? A&M can say, we got a way bigger endowment or a way bigger university. We're way too good for the Big 12. All right, 7-6. I'm sure that 7-6 was fine and dandy. I'm sure you had a hell of a season, right? You fired your coach. I'm sure you really enjoyed that win against New Mexico earlier this season. How about ULM? How about the ULM game? How about the ACU game? 3 of your wins coming against New Mexico, ULM, and Abilene Christian University. Good for you, Texas A&M. And you're too good for the Big 12. Yeah. This little right here. If you're listening to a podcast, I have a little red mark under my left eye. A little red mark right there. I don't know if it's a bug bite or what it is. Looks like a bit of a teardrop. That's all I have. That's all I have for Texas A&M fans. That's all I have for SEC fans. Because guess what happens when they lose? They start making excuses. What do you think Oklahoma State's excuse is for winning? Ollie Gordon played. Their starting quarterback, Alan Bowman. Alan Bowman just threw for 400 yards against Texas A&M. Alan Bowman, who played 2 years at Michigan, and by played, I mean was an assistant coach wearing a jersey. Ollie Gordon rushed for 118 yards and a score. Rashad Owens, Brennan Presley, oh my, 26 combined receptions and some nuts, like circus acrobatic receptions from not just Oklahoma State's receivers, but also Mike Gundy. Can I, if you're an A&M fan, for 1 second, if you're an Oklahoma State fan, congrats. If you're an A&M fan, an SEC fan for 1 second, suck it. Seriously. Like for once, just sit back, take a lump and say, that sucks. Not only can you not win them all, you can't win the one against Oklahoma State who lost to South Alabama. And for Mike Gundy, my gosh, dude, how do you keep doing it? A 10-win season for Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State. And again, A&M's going to scream, we make more money in our conference. We're happy in our conference. You keep getting beat, man. You keep getting beat. Oklahoma State's playing for conference championships, playing with a Big 12, not just a Big 12 championship on the line, but a college football playoff appearance on the line. A&M would beg to have that. A&M and Baylor have the same amount of top 5 finishes in the last 50 years. What do you want? I mean, the pride that I have in the Big 12, again, for just trying, like that is literally, that's not a hyperbolic. I'm not just throwing around the word literally. That is literally the excuse that A&M uses, that the SEC uses, is we didn't try. Is that really what you want to be known as? The team that didn't try? And got the brakes beat off of you, man. This wasn't in question. Oklahoma State won this game fair and square outright the whole game. Oh, but we had so many guys opt out. And I know, I'm the host of Locked On Big 12. You're a Big 12 fan. You're sitting there going, why should I, this guy's speaking of the SEC. I am. I am. Because at some point, it just gets annoying to a T, to a breaking point. And you go, that is, it's baffling, the mindset some of these fan bases have. And one of the fan bases that's not included in that, certainly, is West Virginia. Oh, I owe you another apology. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team, when? Every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is where I go to make money. When I tell you, I have won over $300 this week alone. How? Betting on Big 12 teams at FanDuel. They're dominating the bowl season. You can keep on betting on them. Kansas State still has to play. Avery Johnson, as the weather gets colder, the deals stay hot. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You've been thinking about joining FanDuel. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel is the easiest place to go to make money. I say it is my expendable income. I go and is that right? Expendable income? I don't think it's the right word for it. But it's I sit back and I just make money on my couch. FanDuel.com/locked-on. Bring the game to life, man. FanDuel.com/locked-on. Official betting partner of the NFL. The West Virginia Mountaineers. The same team that I had predicted to go 1-11 earlier this year. Look, if you're watching on YouTube, there it is. I had them losing to Penn State, which, look, okay, bear with me. In hindsight, they did lose to Penn State. They beat Duquesne, right? So the rest of the way, I did have them going 1-11. Pitt preseason seemed pretty tough. They won that game. Texas Tech also tough. West Virginia won that game. At TCU, they won that game. Then they had the Houston game with the Hail Mary, and then Oklahoma State, then UCF, and BYU, and Oklahoma, Cincinnati. I had them losing all of these games, but West Virginia ended up being not just a dark horse in the Big 12, but a true contender down the stretch, and they won a bowl game. When I tell you this, and look. Here, can we have a transparent conversation? If you're a West Virginia fan, if you're a fan of any other team in the Big 12, this does apply to you because the Big 12 coaching carousel applies to everybody. I thought Neil Brown was a dead man walking and that he was going to get fired at the end of the season, if not during the season. And guess what? You thought that too. Don't pretend you didn't. You thought that too. You also thought West Virginia was not going to be good. And they were. And they won a bowl game. They beat the brakes off North Carolina. There is a possibility that West Virginia fires Neil Brown after next offseason. I know a lot of West Virginia fans have been talking about that. What are the odds that maybe they fire Neil Brown at the end of next year? That's when the wheels fall off to the point where Neil Brown's got to go. But brother, I got to be honest with you. With names like Garrett Green, Jaheim White, and Hudson Clement in the mix here, I'm going to pick out those three guys specifically. With those three guys in the mix here, if you hate Neil Brown, if you want Neil Brown fired, no one has had a worse record at West Virginia since the 1970s, and that's why I was begging for him to go preseason. If you're in that camp that says Neil's got to go, Neil's got a lot coming back. Neil's got a lot to work with after a 30-10 win against North Carolina. And guess what? They're going to give you excuse. Yeah. We had some players opt out. They didn't want to play. We had some players in this transfer portal. They go portal. They didn't really want to play and everything. We had some guys that my bowl game didn't matter. Duke's Mayo Bowl. We already won it. All right. Damn, great man. We have a quarterback for us. That's what it sounds like when I hear these excuses for a team to lose a bowl game 30-10. West Virginia, the same team that the Big 12 media picked to finish last in this conference, finishes 9-4 this season. Neil Brown pulls off a magic act and not just wins the Duke's Mayo Bowl and gets mayonnaise, bathed, and showered and all that, but also puts the rest of the Big 12 on watch because this team's got a whole lot coming back next season, and you might hate it. Here's the best way I can describe Neil Brown. See if you agree with this. Neil, if you're listening, I love you. Ish. Every time I start to believe in Neil Brown, it happened in this game, it happened going into that Houston game, it happened in that Oklahoma game. Every time you start, there's a sliver of belief. Something happens, something breaks Neil Brown's way, and you think, maybe Neil Brown completely figured it out. He finds a way to kind of crap all over it pretty quickly. You're like, you know what? Now I'm trusting the climb. Now I believe. And then the next possession, it's like 3rd and 3, and there's just a pitch deep into the backfield. Like, Neil, do you have control of this team? Or something happens. They're going to be good. They lose to Houston on a Hail Mary. It's like, Neil, do you have control of this team? I don't know how to describe it, but he is so good at making me actually trust the climb and then pulling the climb right out from underneath me. But Neil, he's lovable too, man. You can't deny that. He's a lovable guy. And he's winning games. Neil, I'm sorry. West Virginia fans, I'm sorry for doubting Neil Brown. And if you're a West Virginia fan and you doubted Neil Brown, you need to tell him sorry as well. Because he did it. Not only did he win a bowl game, he went 9 wins this season with that West Virginia team that lost like every receiver or corner or something, and all the coaches and everybody is leaving, and then he just won games in spite of that. I picked TCU to go 1-11 in 2022. I picked West Virginia to go 1-11 in 2023. Maybe it's your team that I picked to go 1-11 next year, and they will inevitably get so close to double-digit wins and maybe even go to a national championship. West Virginia, congratulations. I cannot be happier for this conference. I couldn't be happier for you. The Big 12 was dominating bowl season, and you're part of that. Thank you. Thank you, Neil Brown. I never thought I'd be here on December 29th saying thank you, Neil Brown. This has been, it always will be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Locked On Thanks again for making it your first listen every single day. We'll see you tomorrow and every other day after that. I love you guys. Dulce Grande.